Hey guys, welcome back to the All Sports Pass. My name is Eli and I'm your host tonight. And first off, I just want to say thanks for being patient. I was supposed to make this video last night, but fortunately just had some stuff going on. But hey, at least I uploaded before game day. So yeah, before we get in this video, you already know I got to start off with the verse of the day. And today's verse comes from Matthew 18:20, and it says, "For where two or three come together in my name, there am I with them." And also, before we get into this, leave a like, subscribe for more high school football content. Without further ado, let's begin. So this this week was full of some upsets and really close results. And including one of these upsets is Austin East and Scott County. And Scott County winning against Austin East 42-6. And Scott County is now 3-0 for the first time in a really long time, really. And the thing about it is, like, it'll be interesting to see if Scott can keep this momentum up because, like I say, it's been a little bit since since Scott went 3-0, and it's just going to be interesting. But for Austin East, it'll also interesting to see how they come into this week, and we'll talk about them here in a few minutes. Next game, Fulton at Gallenberg Pittman, and I want to put a disclaimer on this. This is the game that I forgot to cover last week. I unfortunately had the dates mixed up. But Fulton at GP, of course. Fulton, of course, beat GP last year, but unfortunately Fulton not able to this year. They lost 50-18, and Fulton just like just for Fulton, it just looks like that the momentum that they had from last season, it's just not carrying over into this season. 0-4, but the good news is this is not a region game, so they can rebound and they can see what they need to do come region play, and when they start playing more region games, and yeah. So next game is Daniel Boone versus Sevier County region game. Sevier County wins this one 48-0, and Sevier County, we mentioned that momentum from state championship season still going, and their win streak continues. And yeah, so interested to see what Sevier County can do once we get to them here in a few minutes as well. And we have Central at Campbell County. Of course, Central, another win in the region, and Campbell County, of course, not, of course, coming into this region, they got a lot to learn. So that's what I'm going to put it at. And of course, another notable thing from Region 5, from this region, is that West, of course, now this was a non-region game, but West losing to Alcoa 35-0. And West, is a team that can keep up with Alcoa, but just not this year. And of course, West, of course, being upset by Central. So it'll be interesting to see what the Bobcats can do in the sorry guys, in the late stages of the season and then the coming weeks. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. And yeah. All right, then the game of the week, Gibbs at Morristown East. Of course, Gibbs coming off that 52-7 loss to Alcoa. They end up rebounding in a big way. Played a 6A team at the 6A team's home. They won 49-7, big blowout win, and because of that, the Eagles are now 3-1 on the season, and we'll get more on the Eagles here in a minute. But this was a really good game for the Eagles on both sides of the ball, and we're going to see what the Eagles can do next. All right, now we go on to and now here we want to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Um, First off, we want to say thank you to PJ's Barbershop, and they are located on 3544 Neal Drive, Suite 101, Knoxville, Tennessee 37918. You can call or text Pam or Jackie on by the numbers on your screen to schedule an appointment. And then the next sponsor is Sierra Lynn Photography. You can DM Sierra at Sierra_343 or SierraLynn.photos on Instagram to schedule a session. And then Bigs Only, outdoor apparel brand, as well as selling some outdoor accessories. Go check them out by going to bigsonly.com, and you can also see there's the link on the top left of the screen. And then the final one is Blended by Justice clothing brand, and got some really cool stuff. And you can go check them out by going to blendedbyjustice.com. Thank you all for your continued support of All Sports Pass. And now we go into week 5, and it's hard to believe we're at the halfway point of the regular season already. That's the thing about football. Once it starts, it just flies by. And yeah, but however, week 5, let's get into it. First game, Anderson County at Carter. This is a region game, and the thing about it is, Anderson County, of course, coming off a win, and Carter, of course, coming off a win in overtime over South Dole. And I will say this, that the Mavericks, of course, they come in off a win against Heritage. Heritage, and they're 2-0 in the region. And Carter, of course, coming off a win over South Dole in overtime. And Carter's now 3-1, and they're now 2-0 in the region. And this will put them to the test. So, can Carter keep up that momentum against AC and use the home field to their advantage? We'll have to wait and find out. But for Anderson County, of course, they had a slow start against Heritage before, of course, pulling away to a 63-19 win. But if I'm Carter, if they do everything right, then Carter could potentially have a shot. And, of course, the other thing about it is, Grace, of course, Carter was able to keep it close with Grace before losing by a field goal. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this game. All right, next game we're going to talk about is the Carter segment is presented by Bigs Only. Thanks for your continued support. This game is Brainerd at Austin East, and this is a 3A matchup that really, I'm going to be honest, I don't know the result of this one because of the fact that, I don't think I've ever covered Brainerd on the channel. So this is kind of a new one for me, but what I do know is that one of these two teams will be walking out of here with their first win of the season, and even though these are both 3A, this is a non-region game. So it'll be interesting to see what can happen here. Austin East has the home advantage, and it's also going to be interesting to see what happens if Austin East can defend their home turf and get their first win of the season. And like I said, Brainerd, of course, here they are through the season, 33-3 loss to Marion County, 7-6 loss to East Ridge, and a 63-0 loss over South Pittsburgh. And Austin East this season, they have a 52-30 loss to South Dole, 59-20 loss over William Blount, and then a 42-6 win over Scott. So both these two teams are hungry for a win, and I'm going to be honest, this should be a good game. This should be a good game. So, yeah. And the next one we got is Clinton at Central, and this segment's presented by Blended by Justice. I'm sorry. Thanks for your continued support. And, and with Central, thing about this game is that I just believe that it's going to be one interesting game. Of course, they're playing Clinton, who's new to the region, and it's also going to be interesting to see what Clinton can do, as Central is currently... Hold on, guys. I'm trying to get it up, but the website's not working. There we go. Central is currently 3-1. Of course, they have that one loss to Dobbins Bennett, which we covered in week 1. And they will be playing Clinton, and Clinton is 0-3 right now. And of course, Clinton with the 42-13 loss to Oak Ridge, 48-35 loss to William Blount, and then a 24-21 loss to Carnes. And it'll be interesting to see what happens now. Like, Central's got the home advantage, but it'll be interesting to see, can the Dragons prevail in enemy territory? It's going to be interesting to see. So, yeah. All right, next one we got is Heritage at Fulton. Region game, and let's just say this, that Fulton is 0-4 right now, while Heritage is 2-1. And of course, we mentioned with that one loss to Anderson County. And now Heritage won 28-21 over CAK, and then they beat South Dual 35-14. And then Fulton, of course, 0-4 right now. And I personally think that Fulton can potentially get their first win of the season and their first region win of the season in this game. That's what I think, because I personally believe that, Heritage, like, they've only really played two teams in the region. Of course, with one being Anderson County, other one being South Doyle. It'll be interesting to see what can happen, but I'm gonna give this one a toss up. So yeah. All right, next one we got is David Crockett at Sevier County. A fun fact: this originally was going to be the game of the week, but I ended up, of course, I ended up making a change because, like, there's a lot more at stake for the game of the week that we have here. So that's really why I just put it at right here. But yeah, so David Crockett at Sevier County. Sevier County, like we mentioned, on a momentum right now, and it'll be interesting to see what happens here. It's a region game, and they're playing against David Crockett. And for David Crockett, they're also, hold on, guys. I don't know why the website's slow on me. Hold on. And for David Crockett, they're 2-2 right now. They're 1-0 in the district. And here's the thing: they lost to Unicoi County. It's 27-13. Lost to West Ridge 41-10. Beat Morristown East 20-13 and beat Morristown West 29-27. But for Sevier County, it's going to be one interesting game. Can David Crockett keep it close, or can they keep it close? Can they win it? Can they lose it? You just never know. But yeah. So, and it is a region game. But the thing about it is, in this region, there's, like, it's a 5A region. There's 6 teams in this region, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. So yeah, and part of the reason why, like, I switched this from the game of the week was because it was because, like, after the Carter and South Dole overtime shootout, I decided that, like, with the 4A region up to like 8 teams, with that region for the game of the week. Yeah, hold on. Let me just explain here. Hold on. And then, I forgot to cover this one. William Blount at Halls. Yeah, so basically, Halls is on an 0-3 run right now. First time since 2022. They of course, are really just trying everything they can, and they're playing against William Blount. It is a district game, and it's on their home turf. But however, William Blount is 3-1, and they and William Blount 49-0 win over Loudon week 1, 59-20 over Austin East. Clinton 48-35 win, and then a 47-16 loss to Powell. And I will say this, that I personally think that it will be an interesting game, but I really think this: if Halls wants to win, I think they're gonna have to give it all they got here. So yeah, so I'm gonna give this one a toss up. All right, and now here we go, game of the week: South Doyle at Gibbs, and this segment's presented by PJ's Barbershop and Sierra Lynn Photography. Thank you both for your continued support of ASP. And the reason why I changed to this game as the game of the week was because, like, with it being an 8-team region, and basically with South Doyle, keeping it close to Carter, even forcing it into overtime, I just feel like this is the I just feel like this would be a better game to put in here. And besides, both teams, they're fighting to be one of those four, be at least one of the four teams going to the playoffs. And it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Gibbs, of course, second home game of the season, and they're fired up after a 49-7 win over Morristown East. So it'll be interesting, and I will also be at that game. So if you see me, come say hi. Yeah. So I think for Gibbs, if they do everything right, they should walk out of here with the region win. And yeah. And all right, it's gonna do it for the video tonight. Unfortunately, no weather segment. Just had some things going on. So yeah, so no weather segment tonight, guys. But yeah, with all that being said, God bless and have a good night.